pastor, Reverend Marrice Coverson.
That wasn't enough. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's always my pleasure to come to you this morning. And so this morning, I'm talking about man laws, spiritual laws, which is our laws, and I want to share the combination of those. As some of you know, the spiritual laws from your growing up as children, and some of these laws intersect with our laws. So I want you to listen closely so you can understand the laws and understand how important they are for you to actualize them in your lives today. So I'm gonna bring it up from when you're a child and what you hear. So many of us, when we're children, we go to church. How many of you went to church as children? Okay. We heard about the laws, but the main ones we remember is that you shall not steal and you shall not kill. Those were the main two we remember. And so, but we didn't place a lot of emphasis on it because we weren't like, at that age, we were young, we weren't like killers or stealing, some of us, but anyway, so we didn't place an emphasis on them. We just heard them. And then when we grew up to be teenagers, it became more prevalent, the laws somewhat. And we still heard them, and we got rid of, early baptism and whatever. And you heard the laws again. And then they added other laws with them. And we listened to them, but we didn't place still so much emphasis on them. We placed some, but not much. And then, they said you shall not cover your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's husband. You shall not cover that. So I don't know, when they said that, many of us didn't know what they meant. We were like, what are they talking about? So those are laws that, those are prevalent laws that we talk about, that not steal, that should not kill, that should not cover their neighbor's wife or husband. So we remember that. Then we get a little bit older, and teenagers and young adults, and we hear the laws again, natural laws, the laws of the universe, man's laws, and there's some of God's laws that's in there. So when you look at that, you remember that you should not kill. That's a man's law as well, because you'll get put in prison forever if you kill. And you should not steal, and you go to jail just the same. You steal, but you don't cover it when you cover your husband, your neighbor's wife or husband. You may not go to jail, but you may come up dead. So it's all how when you're doing something that affects your lives. So let's go work. So we look at all those and we don't place a lot of emphasis on them, but when we get older, and now as I am an adult, twice an adult, but you all, as you get older, you get in your 30s, late 30s, I say early 30s, you start looking at the laws in a sense of a different way. And so when you look at the laws, you look at the laws like we look at them in our book here. And the laws talk about, when we talk about the laws, we talk about how you live your life. And so what I do now, I look at the laws and talk about how I live my life and how the laws help me live my life. And what do the laws do for me to help me have a productive life on this earth plane? And so we look at that. Now we become more involved in the laws. And we really should teach our children early about the laws, not just those laws, but break down the laws with them, because many of them fall into traps where they go to jail or something like that for doing things early, for stealing, etc. Because those laws are very effective laws that they happen here. But what happens is that when we talk about the laws, we talk about, we affirm the individual responsibility of yourself, that you're responsible for yourself. And so when we talk about that, we should teach our children that. And that's one of our main laws in this religion, is that you are responsible for yourself. You're responsible for what you do and what you do in life. And some of us don't understand that. Now, we don't say that, we don't come out and say you cannot steal, you don't kill, you don't covet the neighbor's wife, or we say you are responsible for what you do in life. You are responsible, and that your happiness or unhappiness depends on what you do in life. Some of us don't, we never thought about that. We live unhappy lives until later in life we learn that. Because and some people say, I have been unhappy most of my life. Have you heard that? I've been unhappy most of my life because I didn't understand how and what happiness is based on. It's based on your individual thinking and your individual action. And so we need to teach our children that as well. And that is your individual thinking and action. So today, as many of us are not sure about that, we should look at that, look at our lives. Just take a picture of your lives. And think about, as you take a picture of your lives, think about where you are today and how you got there. And what could be different in your lives if you took more responsibility, if you understood the laws of the universe. The laws of the universe is very succinct, that you are happiness or unhappiness, you're responsible for that. And that means that, your thinking, your action, if you're nasty to me, your action depends on, and you say something, if you say something negative, that responsibility is yours. And I don't suffer from it. You think you're being mean to me and I'm suffering. You're suffering from it much worse than I am, because you're putting it into the universe for you. And I can just take it and move it to another level and not utilize it in my thoughts. But so you are responsible for those things. You how you treat people as well. How, if you're mean or if you just are negative with people, whatever it is, you're responsible for that. And so if it is not, we sometimes believe that it depends on how the people treat us, but it is not how the people treat us. It's how we internalize and how we treat others as an individual. Let me go in even closer to the laws. The law of love, loving everybody. And as children, we're taught the law of love, but we're not taught we said love everybody, but we're not taught how you love everybody. You love people in spite of who they are, in spite of what they say, in spite of what they do. You love that God within, that God within. That's who you love. You don't love that attitude. You don't love that look they give you. You love that God within. And I was talking to someone, and then we was talking about on the job, the things that happen. And I said to them, you gotta be, no matter how people treat you, you shouldn't be worried about it to the point that you want to get them back, or you want to be nasty, or you don't want to speak to them again. I said, a clear example, that I had a person up under me for 20 years. She was mean to me. She would knock, I would walk and she'd be knocking at my ceiling later there with a broom. Knocking, saying I was making too much noise. I gotta walk. So she would say those kinds of things. Or she would just be mean. I would go and speak to her, she was mean. Then one day, 20 years later, something happened. And it was in her kitchen, my refrigerator flooded. And I went down there, and I was so surprised. She kissed me. I'm like, what? What's happening here? And then I invited her for the Christmas outfit. She came up for Christmas. And she even paid for the forward through her. She was in the service. And through the service must have had good insurance. She paid for a floor through that insurance. But 20 years, it took 20 years later for her to be nice to me. Just 20 years. Now, if you're in a marriage, I'm not saying stay in it for 20 years though. But she was just, I could ignore her for 20 years. You know, I didn't have to see her the whole 20 years. It depends on how you do it. But I said, the 20 years she was mean. But I said, she didn't know that you do unto people what you know, like them to do unto you. You treat me right. And now she's had a stroke, and her daughter has to take her to physical therapy, and I see her, and she now calls up and asks me how I'm doing. She just want to make sure I'm okay. And then she says to me, I said, how are you? She said, I'm here. And I said, it's awful just to be here, to myself. It's awful just to be here. But you know, that's because that's how she thinks. That's how she thinks. I'm here. So what kind of thought is that? That's not a thought of loving yourself. That's not a thought of loving yourself and loving the universe where you live. So we have to figure out what love means in our life and how we love each other. You know, I can just, if people can say things, and I can still love them. When I used to not could do that. But it's a growth. And you never stop growing, not even as you get in the spirit world. That's when you start growing, when you just become one with the universe, one. So you never stop growing there either, so you're still growing, because it's hard to become one, because we have so much baggage from down here. You have so much baggage. So you need to start trying right here. And try in these relationships you have with your friends, your families, and everyone, loving them, in spite of who they are. I have people who hates their mother. I'm like, what? They don't even want to go see her. I said, you just go listen to her and close your ears. And just let her talk, no matter if she is being negative. And then, like attracts like. Remember that. You attract how you think. You attract that. You attract those people to you. And you wonder, how do I attract these people to me, these negative people to me? How do I keep attracting negative people? Even friends, you attract negative friends. It's because like attracts like. Your thoughts are put out into the universe, and you attract people to you. So you gotta learn that these are all what spiritualism is based on. These are our laws. These are the laws that I embrace every day, or I try to. I think about it. No matter what happens, I think about it. I think about that I should be looking and thinking about these laws, because I know that any day I could move into the spirit life, total spirit life, not just here on this earth plane in this body. But any day, no matter how old you are, you can move into that realm. So what do I do here on this earth plane? What do? You take these laws into consideration. Like attracts like. The law of forgiveness. How many of you easy to forgive? I know all of you out there just holding something because somebody that happened 20 years ago, and you try to figure out how to get back at them, or you said, I don't want to hear from them ever. I don't want to see them ever. That is so negative. I tell you, I was in college and I was graduated, and we had a book. You know, we had the books down in college where you had to name the pictures and the people and what they say about you. So I wrote in this girl's book. I was a roommate with her. I didn't even know she didn't like me until she put that page out where I had written. Because I had written. I never got to ask her because I never saw her again. But she tore the whole page out of her book. She just was that angry with me, or whatever is upset with me, that she would tear a whole page out of her book. I couldn't imagine that you can't say to a person, whatever it is, thoughts or things. Forgiveness is a great gift that you can give yourself, not the person, but give yourself. Because when you forgive someone, you releases yourself into a whole new realm of thoughts and a whole new realm of beauty. Just think of the beauty that forgiveness brings into your life. Forgiving. Most of us are so hard to forgive. It's like you forgive depending on the issue. If the issue is like this, I don't forgive. But I can forgive if they say this, but I'm not going to forgive if they say that. But forgiveness doesn't depend on the issue. It depends on your thoughts that you forgive. Now, I'm not saying you stay in a situation with someone. I'm not saying you continue to talk to someone. But I'm saying that you forgive and that you may have to move out of the vibration sometime, but you forgive. You let it go. You don't have to stay there. You let that negative thought just fly away. It doesn't belong to you. It's not your energy. And that's what, they don't teach us as our kids, and we need to teach our children. If you have children at home, teach those children that. Teach them that. Because who they are today is who they will be tomorrow. And when you allow them to be negative, what are you bringing up? A negative child in your vibration. Cause and effect. What you put out into the universe, you get back. But it just drops on you. You're like, why is it raining in my vibration? What did I do to make it rain? Think back. What did you do to make it rain in your vibration? You had to have done something. You attract something. But it's all a learning lesson. Let me tell you this as I close. It's all a learning lesson. It's a lesson for you to learn on this earth plane. That your life on this earth plane is a lesson. This is a schoolhouse. This earth plane is a schoolhouse. What you learn here helps you move through today. What you learn helps you move through tomorrow. And what you learn tomorrow helps you move through the next day. And when you get to the spirit world, you've learned a lot, and there's so much you don't have to worry about because you are one with the light. You're more with the light. You may not be totally with the light, but you're more with the light. And that's God's light, the universal light, that living light. You're one with the universe. We as spiritualists believe the laws are the greatest thing that is. And when we talk about the laws, we talk about universal laws, the spiritual laws. And the spiritual laws also coincide with man's law, which said we don't kill, we don't steal, and those things. And let me just, stoplight. Let's talk about the stoplight for a moment. You're like, how does the stoplight fit in? When somebody runs past me and they almost knock me off the road trying to get to the red light, and you cuss them all the way out. How does that happen in my life? What happens in my life with that? How does that affect you? You know what that is? When you cuss them out, that's the cause and effect. That negative, those negative words you put in the universe comes right back to you. All those things come back to you. So you should say, bless them, and I hope they're safe when they get to that light. And I hope they be safe because they're really running. Not all those good negative things you say. The universal law works. So that means I just want to show you down level how life works in your daily lives. That stoplight is one. When those people are pushing you on the train, and you're trying to get on the train, and they're pushing you on the train, and you want to pop them, know that it's something you just breathe. You just breathe and say, I'm God. God is within me, and God is within that person. I bless them, and I hope they get where they're going on time. Just breathe. That's all you got to do, breathe. Make sure you understand the importance. When that person next to you in your office or in your workplace act crazy or silly, just breathe and bless them. And you breathe and bless them so much that after a while they'll be looking at you like you're crazy because you haven't said anything with them and they've been so crazy and they feel so bad. Just breathe. Everyday lives bring about everyday circumstances for us to prove that we understand the laws of nature, the spiritual laws, God's laws. God lives within us. We are God. And we're not being blasphemous when we say that. We're just saying that if you have all those God's qualities within you, those God energy within you, then what are you? You're God. You're working to be one with that God, though. That God is inside of you. And you're working to be one with that God inside of you. And so I tell you today that it's hard work. I want to leave you with this hard work. I want you to try it this week. Whatever happens, try it. And someday you have trial by fire to make sure to see if you can make it. But I tell you, as I end, that you can make it. You can show that you understand the laws of God. Bless you.
Amen.